for the sake of time. So thank you so much for joining our high school semester and academic year abroad information session. This is going to be like a short presentation about all of our programs, how the application process works, and you're really going to be learning a lot of details about what our high school abroad programs have to offer. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So a little bit of a background about CIEE. We are a nonprofit organization and we've been running since 1947. So we've been around the block for a bit. We're currently present in over 30 countries, and specifically with our high school program, we work with over 2,500 students per year. So that includes our summer programs, as well as our longer programs for semester, trimester, and academic year abroad. And our mission is to humanize international relations and foster peace through international education and exchange programs that promote intercultural understanding. You'll also notice our contact information at the bottom. There'll be other opportunities to see that as well, but please take note if you'd like to send us an email or give us a call. So a brief introduction of our team. Most of us are here tonight. So we are the high school abroad team, study abroad team for semester. So we're different than the summer programs. We work solely with students that want to go during the academic year for either a trimester term, semester term, or academic year term. So my name is Rachel. I am the enrollment coordinator that works with the East students, so students that come from the eastern part of the US. We also have Miga, she's not with us tonight. She works with the Western Territory and also is taking over international. And then we are also joined by Tatyana, who is co-hosting tonight, and she works in the middle or the Midwest Territory. Ali, our manager, is here as well, so they're both happy to answer questions. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Tatyana take it away from here for a couple of our slides. Ready, Tatyana?
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome.
All right, so I'm going to go over the agenda for today. We're going to be discussing locations and program overview, some of the benefits of studying abroad, what's included, the application process, pre-departure timeline, school placement and academic transfer of credit, extracurricular activities, independent travel policy, homestay placements, and last but not least, questions, like a Q&A session. So, as you see here, these are the locations that we have our trimester, semester, or academic year options. We have Japan, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Spain, and the UK. All right, so while abroad, you have the option to learn 6 languages, whether they be Danish, French, German, Italian, Spanish, or Japanese. Your placements will be in the local high school, and you'll be in a full immersion homestay, meaning you'll be with a family native to that country where you will speak the native language. All right. So why study abroad? You have global citizenship, you'll gain more independence, you'll stand out on your college applications, and you'll gain hard and soft skills that really can't be learned in the classroom.
Awesome. All right, so what's included with our program? So we post our program tuition costs on our website, so very easy to access. And we would consider our program fee very comprehensive. So it includes really anything that you could probably think of. So first and foremost, round trip airfare from what we call our gateway airport to the international destination. So usually students will meet at what we call our gateway airport. So for our programs in Europe, usually that's JFK or maybe DC. For Japan, they usually meet somewhere in the West, so California or LAX. So the flights that go from those airports to the program countries and back are included in the cost. Also, transportation to and from the airport once students are in the country, so taking them directly to orientation, or if it's one of our programs that maybe does not have a CIEE sponsored orientation, directly to their homestay. Placement in a local high school, also including careful selection and screening of a compatible host family. room and board with that selected host family, so including your meals during the week, supervision and support of a local coordinator or in-country CIEE staff. We also host online pre-departure orientation. We provide pre-departure support. SECs, enrollment coordinators, provide all pre-departure support for the students and families. Once students are in the country, they have orientations, like I mentioned, for some locations. International travel through INEXT, which includes like emergency medical insurance and also emergency travel insurance. 24-hour worldwide travel assistance and support with FlightFox. So this is how students are booking their flight itineraries. Visa support and pre-departure assistance, that's where us enrollment coordinators come in. And also when they're on program, CIEE-led educational trips and excursions. So usually the programs will include one-day trip and one overnight excursion trip per semester. Also, 24/7 support is available to students and parents from CIEE US headquarters staff. So there's support on both ends, both in the country and also in the US as well. And yeah, so post-program, students can receive a letter of recommendation upon request if they have a successful completion of program, and also access to our CIEE alumni network. So the application process. So there are a couple of requirements just to be aware of when applying for one of our programs. So some of those include teacher recommendations. If it is a country where we have a language requirement or the primary language is not English, there may be a task in the application to get 2 recommendations, one also being from a language teacher. Getting approval from your school counselor, so making sure we have support from your school, you guys set a plan for when the student is gone, when they return, a health form completed by your doctor, legal guardian approval, that's a big one. And after submitting the application, us enrollment coordinators review it. We will conditionally accept a student, and there are a couple of more steps that we have to take to confirm the student, and one of those being an interview with the student's appropriate enrollment coordinator. Some important eligibility criteria to be aware of. So students must be between the ages of 15 and 17 years old. And it's very important to note that students cannot be 18 prior to program or turn 18 while on program as well. So in addition to that, students must not have met graduation requirements before programs begin. That's because a lot of the schools abroad will not allow enrollment for the student if they're technically already a high school graduate. Previous language experience depending on the program. So usually those include France, Spain, Germany. You need 2 years of academic experience with that language. And having a minimum GPA of 2.5. And for Japan, that minimum GPA is a 3.0. And right here, you can see a QR code if you'd like to scan to open up an application. It's very easy to do, and it's free to start. So some logistical things to be aware of in terms of deadlines. So we have 2 cycles for our high school study abroad programs for the semester academic year. We have programs that depart in the fall, and we have programs that depart in the spring. So for fall programs, so upcoming, our next fall cycle starts for the fall of 2025. So applications are closed for 2024. The priority deadline is February 15th. So priority meaning you first and foremost receive a $400 discount off of the program tuition cost automatically. And also we're able to confirm your spot in the cohort. So we do have various programs that tend to fill up or reach capacity by that final deadline. So if this is something you're very motivated to do, we always recommend applying by that priority deadline, with the final application deadline for those fall programs being March 15th. Similarly for the spring, we are currently still accepting applications for spring programs that depart in 2025. So usually the spring departure for those programs is in January, except for Japan, that departs in April, just to line up with their trimester academic calendar there. But the priority deadline is July 15th, so just a week away, with the final application deadline for spring being August 15th. I will say if anyone here is interested in applying for a program for the spring in Spain, that program is quickly filling up. So if that's you, definitely be sure that you are opening an application or working on one pretty swiftly, because we expect to reach capacity relatively soon with that program. And school placement. So the two pillars of our program to provide students with an immersive experience is placing them with a homestay or host family, and also at a local high school. So students are not attending a CIEE center, they're not at an international school with other American students. They're attending a local high school where the typical teenager of that country goes for their education. So we place students at both public and private schools. It's based on the preference of the student. So public schools are the default placement for all students unless otherwise designated. So I'd say the majority of our students do opt for or select the public school placement. These schools tend to always follow the standardized curriculum set by the Ministry of Education for their respective countries. It consists of core classes with optional electives. There tends to be a little bit less flexibility with course selection. And that's not just the nature of CIEE as a program, but just the nature of what a public school experience is in those countries. The courses tend to have a more rigid schedule. Yeah, this is where most of our students are placed. There is also the option to be placed at a private school for some of our program countries. So first and foremost, there is an additional fee associated with the specific school selection. So this is something that you can indicate in an application. We have a task that is labeled private school or school placement for private school, where you can indicate if you have a preference for this type of placement and your budget of what you'd be willing to spend in addition to the CIEE program tuition cost. Students may live with a host family or choose boarding school options. Boarding school is only for our United Kingdom program. All of our other country programs where students are placed at private schools still have the homestay accommodation. And depending on the country, classes offered may be more academically rigorous. Depending on the country as well, there may be more elective options. On the flip side of the public school, there might be more flexibility. Something to note, if you are here and you are interested in our Japan program and you or your child does not have really any Japanese experience or very limited Japanese experience, we highly recommend opting for the private school option, as many of the private schools we work with there and have relationships with and have placed students out for years. We are aware that they offer some offer weekly Japanese courses that are integrated within their class schedule. So they're getting lots of Japanese language support while on program, weekly or maybe also monthly. So depending on your level. But again, for Japan, if you have limited experience with the language, highly recommend the private school option. And yeah, this is an important thing to note at the bottom. Class preferences may be listed in the application. You'll have the opportunity to do that in the application when speaking with your enrollment coordinator during the interview. However, it's not something that we can guarantee. And that's one of the challenges we face with working with local schools, is that we're at the discretion of what that school offers, what the Ministry of Education in that country has implemented for the curriculum of that specific grade, and also at a more micro level, what that school itself offers in terms of capacity for classes. So often classes are chosen within the first few days of school once on program. Again, this is not just a CIEE thing. This is very typical for countries abroad, where you're not building your schedule half a year in advance like we do in the US. And also to note, most locations do not offer IB programs nor AP programs. So just something to keep in mind with classes. I can do this one, Tatyana, and then you can pick it up after. Okay, so just while we're on the theme of academics, a big question we always get is, will my credits transfer, or how will I get a transcript? So it's not something we can guarantee, again, as a challenge of working with local schools. transcripts being issued is not a guarantee. And there are no exact equivalents of international grades. That being said, we do have a scale that we can provide that kind of provides a translation of what the international grade would be in the A to F scale that was typically used in the US. Also, grades tend to be more based on effort and participation rather than performance, just due to the language barrier. If you are an English speaker and you're looking to go to Ireland or the UK, that might not be the case. It might be more based on performance or how well you do in assignments and exams and projects. Schools might opt to give a pass-fail just to protect the integrity of the student's GPA if they found that the language barrier was impeding so much that they could not adequately evaluate the student's knowledge of the content. And so again, we have to be thinking about what this program is, what we're trying to provide students, and the opportunity. It is first and foremost a cultural and language immersion experience, versus maybe being one that is very academically competitive. Again, that might not be the case if you're going to the UK or Ireland, an English-speaking country. That being said, though, we have had students go and still be able to be very academically competitive, especially in the countries where English is not the primary language spoken. So depending on your language proficiency or level, that's really gonna set kind of the foundation of how successful you can be academically at your school. Definitely speak with your counselor in the US before traveling on this program. Again, we have a counselor form that's a required task in the application, so making sure you guys are on the same page, setting a plan before confirming your spot on the program. So just something to be aware of. For the schools that do not offer a transcript, for some of our country programs, some schools will fill out what we call the high school school report form. So the school report form is what you can see on the right. It has that orange graph. And this is something that students can request usually the last couple of weeks or months of their program. And they bring this to their school and their school can fill it out. So it can include the class subject that they took, a short course description, the grade or the pass-fail that the student received, and a signature. Oftentimes the school will then sign this document, they'll stamp it with their official seal, and the student is able to bring that back to their school in the US. And a good thing about that is everything is usually in English with this, so the administration doesn't have to go through the hoops of translating it and so on. So just something also to keep in mind. The school report form is linked in the application. So if you open an application, there's a myriad of resources at that you'll have access to, including this school report form. Also in that My Reading section of the application, it includes the academic guide. So what are the typical courses that are taken in each country program that we offer, what the daily class schedule looks like, and so on. So lots of questions that families have, lots of questions that counselors have, you can find within the application. Okay, Tatyana? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. All right, so let's get into extracurricular activities. So in most of these schools, if not a lot of them, well, most of them, they're not like American schools where we have teams associated with that school. So you may have to find a way to play whatever sport or activity that you're interested in externally at the student's own cost. So options may vary according to the school availability in the chosen term. And the staff and country and the host family can actually help with finding intramural options outside of school. And additional day or overnight trips may be available for your program also, which is a perk of being in the studying abroad with us. We might, depending on the country, have overnight trips or day trips that are available for you to attend. But again, depending on the host country. All right, so the independent travel policy. So parents and visitors are allowed to visit certain programs. Italy is the only one that is not you're not really able to have visitors, but all the other countries, your family can visit or visitors can visit within like after the first 60 days abroad, and this is so that you can acclimate to the country and the program itself. So after 60 days is when you can have visitors, but you cannot miss school as a result, and you must be accompanied by an adult that's 25 years or older. And in all cases, parents need to fill out a travel request form with like logistical details of planned travel for pre-approval, and students must also get a program release form if they need to leave the program earlier than schedule or are traveling after the program. And this applies to all high school programs. And students, like I said, just to reiterate, students traveling to Italy are not to have any visitors during their program. All right, so homestay placement. Homestay families do not depend on stipend funds from CIEE. All of our homestays are carefully interviewed and are required to complete a background check. Our local staff conducts the site visit to verify the suitability of the home and environment before students even come. Um, and the location of the homestay is normally very close to the school. It's not going to be any more than an hour, give or take. Um, and what you can expect are meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Wi-Fi, access to common areas, full language immersion. Again, like your family will be speaking in the local language. Warm family environment, and academic year students often switch homestays mid-year depending on the country. All right, any questions?
Yeah, guys, so if you'd like, you can feel free to continue asking questions in the chat, or we also welcome you to unmute your microphone if you find that to be easier.
So Prisha seems to have a lot of questions. Prisha, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and we can answer your questions? I hope I answered them appropriately for you in the chat, but I want to make sure I was able to answer them for you.
Oh, no microphone.
Oh, I don't have a microphone. Oh man, it's okay. We'll survive. But did I help answer your questions, I hope, in the chat? Prisha, what country were you planning to apply to? Prisha wants to go to Germany. Germany. Okay, great. Prisha, you need to have 2 years of German language experience for that program, just so you are aware. And then Audrey asked, how long would a semester be? Audrey, what program did you want to go to? What location? And feel free to unmute yourself as well if you'd like, if you have a microphone. We'll allow you to talk.
So Japan semester looks like it's going to be around 15 weeks for the spring, around like 14 to 15 weeks for either fall or spring spring semester.
So Prisha's saying she didn't get responses on her questions. I answered them in the chat, but let's go through them, why don't we?
Okay.
Let's see. And Audrey said thank you. Okay, so in terms of, I'm not sure what you meant by agents to your question, Prisha, but when we talk about being more global citizen, I wrote that basically what we mean by being a more global minded citizen is to have our students have a better understanding of others from all over the world. and become like a more globally minded citizen. So we are thinking about others beyond just like ourselves and our, surroundings. Your question, if credits are not transferred, would I need to take an extra year of high school? That would really depend on your local high school. We recommend taking classes ahead of time or or after being abroad, maybe doing some summer school or take some classes online. And we're more than happy to send both of you the academic guides for each country that you are interested in traveling to. So that way you can share the academic guide with your school counselor and with your parents, so you can talk to them about how this program would work for you. And then you asked, are these international schools where students are placed? Are they affiliated with CIEE? They're not international schools. They're actually local high schools in the country in which you are interested in studying abroad. So in Germany, they're local gymnasiums, as they call them in Germany. And you would be speaking the local language. So you'd be speaking German in the classroom full time. But we do have relationships with all the schools that we place our students in. Okay. Do you have coordinators in all countries? Yes, we have staff members in every single country that we operate in. They're there for you 24/7 if there's ever a problem while you are abroad. Let's see. And Precious said, thank you. You are very welcome. All right. Any other questions for both of you? Prisha, do you have 2 years of German language experience? You could let us know in the chat. That would be awesome. You just started. Okay. So for this program, you're going to have 2 years of German language. It is a requirement to go to Germany, unfortunately. So maybe another program location might be an option, but I think Rachel's going to actually follow up with you tomorrow and touch base about your options and figure out what we can, maybe work with you on maybe finding a different country location. And Audrey said she has no other questions. And Tatyana will follow up with you tomorrow as well to touch base about Japan and all the fun things. Okay. I think that's everything.
Thank you guys so much for joining.
Thanks.